What's up, YouTube? This is the Federation here, and I am back. And obviously on Attila now, so this will be my first ever Attila battle. I realized I left Rome 2 after 99 videos, I believe it is. And so since I'm slightly OCD, I may at some point get the incentive to go back and do an 100th battle, just because I would hate to leave that lying at 92. But anyways, just to explain kind of where I've been, what's going on. I was in South Africa. I'm originally from the US, and yeah, I was over there. I was doing a term abroad for university, and I was actually doing my culminating project for my major, so I was fairly busy. I did download Attila, and I played a couple hours of campaign here and there, but I don't believe I racked up much time at all. I was working maybe 6-7 hours a day on average, so I was kept pretty busy, and that was on top of taking class and trying to enjoy the country while I was there. Did some cool things, dived with some sharks, yeah, saw some cool animals. It was a incredible experience. But anyways, I am back. I'm making videos again, and I am in Attila, and I'm not going to lie, I am losing a lot. I believe I've won 7 or 8 battles at this point, and I've lost maybe 4 or 5, maybe even more. It's been pretty unpleasant. I'm still figuring out the meta. I have seen quite a few videos of tournament games, and I'm trying to kind of base my play off that. And this is kind of meta build, is 6 melee cav, 4 strong infantry who can go into either attacking testudo or shield wall, some pikes, and a skirmish component. I'm trying to mess with the meta a little bit, and that's how most of my losses have come. I played a couple of games trying to mess around with some Huskarl rush builds with the Jutes. I've tried a couple of Sassanid builds that rely on the Pushtigbon cataphracts to get a good charge, and then sending Sevaran cavalry, the crossbow cav, around the back, which worked decently, but I ended up getting beat by Tagmata cavalry. Surprise, surprise. So I'm still figuring that out. So far, I would say I've enjoyed Rome 2 more than I have Attila, although the campaign in Attila is absolutely brilliant. I've been a big fan of that. The only problem I have with it is the amount it's freezing. And I will start to talk about the battle now that things are actually going on, and I'll finish up if I need to. I think I've mentioned most of what I want to. But if there's anything that comes to mind, I'll say it at the end of the battle. Anyways, I've gone with a Visigothic meta build, and over here I noticed that I had him outnumbered 3-2. He does have Royal Lancers, which are arguably the most powerful in the game. Sometimes second to Tagmata cav if the Tagmata go into wedge, but either way, incredibly powerful cavalry. So over on this flank, I've got my Gothic Palatina defectors in and among them. He makes a mistake here, which is pulling out. You don't need to do that with Royal Lancers, especially against Germanic Horse, and especially when he's at gold upgrade. So this is going to cost him that unit. He's also got these Barbed Javelin men over here, which got a nice volley off, but then got engaged with the fight, which was a pretty big mistake. Over on this flank, I have him outnumbered in cav, and I also sent my general over just to really win it. He's going to pull these Barbed Javelin men out, and I believe start getting some shots in at my general. Again, he tries to pull out here with these Royal Lancers, and that's just not going to work for him. Skirmish fight didn't go too well for me. He had 4 of these Germanic archers. I only had 3. And I chose to not get my crossbows involved with the fight. I chose to use them on this flank to help me wrap up the cavalry. Since I knew these Royal Lancers, if I could get them off the field, I would have this battle won. So over in the center, our pikes are just kind of doing what pikes do. I have no real need to engage him, and he has no real need to engage me. I feel like I'm going to win the cav fight. Indeed, I'm winning it quite handily. And so the fewer engagements I take until that cav fight is over, the better. This cavalry is about to be wrapped up. Now my general is under a little bit of threat here, and he's starting to take some fire, and these Barbed Javelin men are deadly. You can see they've only gotten off a couple of volleys, and they've already racked up a huge number of kills, so I'm going to have to pull this guy out. If I do lose my general, then all the progress I've made in this battle could be undone. I mismicro my cavalry here, and they get caught up with Burgundian axemen. And although cavalry are deadly in Attila, that will not go well for them. I believe I eventually pulled them out, but it doesn't go well. And so now I'm going to kind of run them down. I have the cavalry advantage at this point. although he has quite a few skirmishers, and so isolated units like this one, as you're going to see, are going to get pretty torn up even once they land their charge. Fortunately, I managed to occupy 2 of his units with this charge, so it's going to last a little bit longer than it would, but it will fall eventually. So yeah, anyways, how I'm kind of feeling about Attila right now is that I like it. It's a beautiful game, and I like the factions. I like some of the things they've done, but it is, as I believe Arab Carthage pointed out in recent videos, very, very formulaic. There's certain things you most definitely have to do to win, and that, I don't know how I feel about that. Well, actually, I do know how I feel about it, and I don't like it. In Rome 2, there was certainly a similar problem in that there were definitely some things that were very powerful, but I feel like there was a greater variety of things that you could get away with. Like, even in the end stage where barbarian infantry rushes were the meta, you could, as Prussian Prince did in a couple of tournament games, bring a skirmish build and do very well. And in Attila, unfortunately, horse archers don't have Parthian shot unless you are the Huns, and that really makes them hard to use, and so it's harder to do that kind of horse archer skirmish heavy build that really was so deadly in Rome 2, and I would like to see Parthian shot on just about every horse archer unit in the game, as well as the horse skirmishers. I feel like that might add an entirely new dimension, especially to cav fights, if you can get some kind of light horse skirmisher. Those could really pose a serious threat to Tagmata cavalry, which are heavily armored and wouldn't really be able to catch the javelins, and javelins are also armor piercing. So that could be an interesting way to balance out these heavy melee cav. I'd also like to see a little bit less of a difference between heavy cavalry and light cavalry. Maybe the best way to do that would be by reducing the impact of mass on charges, because I feel like light cavalry and even medium cavalry are about just right for balance, but heavy cavalry and very heavy cavalry are a little bit too powerful. And again, other people will have different opinions. Some people feel like even medium cavalry are too powerful, and some people think that heavy cavalry have the right place, but personally, I'd like to see the effect a medium cavalry charge has be just about the maximum. And that would do things like help the Huns be more relevant as a faction, take Tagmata cavalry out of the game a little bit. But anyways, let's just take a quick look at the unit stats. I'm sorry I didn't talk about the battle much here. I had a lot of other things that were worth mentioning. But anyways, these Gothic Palatinate effectors, actually a really big fan of this unit. This one didn't do quite so well. I'm assuming it got tied up with its skirmishers. My crossbows, I really, really like crossbows in this game. I think they're just a great type of unit in the game, in that they're very glass cannon. They're completely deadly if they're used to the right effect. This is actually lower on the end of the number of kills I normally get with crossbows. And they're very good at taking out expensive units, but they're also incredibly vulnerable. I've seen a couple of slingers take down a crossbow unit before, and then obviously if you can get into them with cavalry, they're very vulnerable. And then since they have a flat shot, unlike archers, they're harder to protect behind pikes, so you kind of have to put them in exposed positions, which just makes them very interesting. You really like crossbows, and not just like to use crossbows, but I like the way that they've been put into this game and the effects they have. My opponent took quite an interesting build, and I credit him with that. Obviously a little bit meta, in that he took a lot of heavy cavalry and put most of his money in that, but he also took these barbed javelin men, which I'm a big fan of. I like the Burgundian skirmish roster. It's very interesting. And then he's got these Burgundian axemen, which are an interesting unit as well. But anyways, I apologize that I'm not able to provide the types of commentary I was in Rome 2. I won't be able to offer too terribly much in the way of advice for a while at least. And I certainly I don't have the insider information or tips and tricks like I would have back then, but I'll hopefully build back into that, and hopefully until then I can get some interesting battles. I'll try to stay away from using this type of build too terribly much, because I know it can't be that interesting to watch. I've already gotten bored of watching other YouTubers, and I've gotten bored of watching tournaments, because it's really either this build or the same copy of this build with a different faction, going at it over and over. And the difference just comes in getting your charges right, because it's almost always cavalry on cavalry, infantry on infantry. Winner of the cav fight wins by sweeping up the infantry. So we'll try to make my builds and my videos a little bit more interesting than that. Obviously, if I'm competing in tournaments in the near future, which my clan is asking me to do, I will have to rely on this, but other than that, I will try to keep it interesting. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed watching the first video on this channel in quite some time, and I will see you all next time.